talk about private link, not nearly as much as Gary is. And essentially, we're going to make this a little bit of a conversation. And Gary, if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen super quick to just show people our website, and we can run through it very quick. But would you mind kind of showing or explaining to people what private link is and why does this matter to BEM and to BEM users?
Yeah, traditionally, you want me to go over that now, Antonio, while this shows?
Let's do it.
Sure. Yeah, traditionally, the way it started out, really, Amazon set up private link or VPC endpoints so that for things like S3, instead of leaving kind of your VPC or network and going out over the internet to S3, you could hit a link or a connection within your network or VPC. They've extended that, and so does Google and Azure, other cloud providers. So it allows us to provide you a service like our API endpoint within your network, within the Amazon cloud. So you go from your account through the private link directly to us. And so it's a great way. Stuff's not going over the internet. You don't have to whitelist IPs and so forth.
Got it. So I guess we can talk a little bit about, so when we started BEM, if I'm not mistaken, our entire offering was around sort of on like cloud, or what people call SaaS, right? Which is entirely managed by BEM. You don't have to deal with infrastructure. Now, we've had a lot of customers ask for on-prem, which is a little bit more on the side of like, hey, how can we control our investing, like full infrastructure deployment? They would own the compute. This seems like somewhere in the middle, right?
Exactly. I think as you look kind of how things evolve, customers want data. They want to keep it within their walled like network. For us, if they come to us say, hey, can I bring my own cloud, or can you install it in my data center? These things, there's a lot of challenges because it's not just traditional, let me give you a package that you install and run. It's utilizing all kinds of things from caching services, databases, the API, the scaling, keeping things up to date. We constantly are releasing updates, all day long, every day. And for a customer to have to do that, it becomes a pain. So this, we feel, is the first kind of step to improve security and allow you to kind of have a secure connection with us. No whitelisting. You're not going over the public internet. You're going through a private connection within, for us right now, Amazon networks. So it's a great way. No headaches of managing software. And I've done that a lot. I don't want to manage someone else's software.
Yeah.
And just like I said, with the speed that we're releasing new features and changes constantly, monitoring that, seeing the errors and just updating it, that's off your plate now. You don't worry about it, but you still have a secure connection.
Got it. That makes total sense. I think something we've heard, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, but something we've heard from customers is that, look, the first intuition from CISOs and from compliance teams is, I work in a regulated industry, I work in insurance, I work in healthcare, I need HIPAA compliance. Sometimes it isn't even that. Sometimes it's intellectual property. Like, my company is directly incentivized to never send any kind of intellectual property to the outside world, and we need on-prem. And I think that having done this a few times, what I feel happens after that is, this is what compliance and CISOs want, and this is what the engineering team actually wants, which is, do I want to have someone who is basically staffed to manage the infrastructure? And now you have, hey, send me the Helm charts, send me the infrastructure as code, and now we have to manage it. And essentially, you lose the benefit of buying a solution, right? Which is the whole point of buying a solution, is that you don't need to maintain it yourself. You don't, if that makes sense. And so I feel like this appeases the compliance needs of a CISO or a compliance or legal team, while keeping basically fulfilling the promise of software, which is that you don't have to maintain it yourself. Do you feel that's resonating, Gary? Is that how you think of it yourself as an infrastructure person?
Oh yeah, for sure. So if I think about myself running services for other companies in the past,
Yeah,
having the need for something like say Snowflake, right? Maybe I need Cassandra through data stacks. That's what they're good at, right? Snowflake, that's what they're good at. And I always think back to college where I learned do what you do best as a company, right? Like
yeah,
when you think about it, how many car manufacturers have a brand of tires? When you buy a car from whoever it is, Toyota, there's not Toyota tires on there. They get them from, say, Michelin, right? Same thing. We're good at taking your unstructured data and giving you something structured that you can use. We
yeah.
know how to run it because that's what we do day in day. You, the customer, knows what to do from your side. So for us, this is the first kind of quick step to give you a secure way to connect to us. You now don't have to worry, like we mentioned earlier, you were talking about with engineers or DevOps teams or platform teams, like SREs don't need to worry, oh no, BEM's down. How do I bring it back up? Oh, there's another update that they just sent us. All that kind of goes away. When I think about, yeah, I need to run a service, I want, say, Confluent, and they have private link.
Yeah.
From a security standpoint, it's kind of one of those things. Okay, yes, you got to do your due diligence, and we're not saying don't do that. We're trying, we're learning, we want to be as open as we can with you, but we're we're working on our compliances, so we're doing what we can to keep it up to date. Having private link enables you to just have a little more secure connection to us.
It totally makes sense. I'm curious, you've mentioned a couple of companies, you've mentioned Snowflake and you've mentioned Confluent. Is private link a paradigm that has been used by those companies? Like, Ari, I don't think we're reinventing the wheel in that sense. This is something that has been done before.
No, exactly. I mean, I think a good example, S3. Amazon came out with the S3 standard. Now Google, everyone, Cloudflare, their R2, that's the standard for that. Same thing, private link, every cloud, they may all do it slightly different, but it's
Yeah,
becoming a standard. I think about this, the way people did this before was you could do VPC peering. The problem with that is you're going to have overlap in CIDR ranges, right? So it becomes this network heavy thing where, oh no, customer A has the same CIDR range as customer E, and that conflicts with us. All that complexity goes away. It's a nice, simple connection, and it's proven again and again. I think I've looked at different customers, they've offered VPC peering, but the majority now are all just private link.
yeah,
There's pros and cons to all kinds of things. But yeah, I think I could be wrong, but the last time I looked, Snowflake is primarily, you can use their public API or private link. It's proven. And the fact that Amazon did it and created this, now Azure, Google, all the rest are doing it, just shows you it's a clever way, it's smart, and it's simple.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, if the issue is, I think the way I think about it as well is like, what is really the reason why you need this, right? And what I like to tell people is, I think if it was deterministic software that is fairly more straightforward to assemble and fairly more, and has more straightforward, let's call it compute. I think this would be a slightly different question, and certainly distributing on-prem deterministic applications, right? It's straightforward, right? Like one example that I give a lot is Metabase. We use Metabase a lot as a Docker container internally, straightforward, easy. There's no stochasticity to it, pretty straightforward. It's a SaaS. I think for a product like BEM and similar products, it gets a little bit more complicated because there's also a cost in running it. I mean, the moment that you own the compute, you kind of have to pay for the compute, which I think a lot of people don't realize that.
No, exactly. And it, like you mentioned, it's not a simple package here. Go to Amazon Marketplace, download this thing and run it. There's caching, there's database, there's storage, there's the actual API service, right? And the thing that, that I'm newer here at BEM, but we do releases constantly. Um,
Oh
and
yeah.
that is the thing that, if you think about traditional software, you think about how often I remember, traditional software is like maybe once every year or two they came out with a version and then you're patching it and you would patch it quarterly or whatever, the cadence you did. And it was time consuming. Um, for us to just tell our customers, here's an update every day, it's not feasible for them to apply that consistently. And it's just new features, services, improvements, things that we see constantly. Because, like we mentioned, this is what we know what to do, this is what we're good at. And so we're constantly improving it. I think for a customer to wait, a quarter to do an update because that's what their cadence is for patching, the features, all that are going to have changed so much, right? Oh, here, go make some schema changes to your database. It's like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
All those things kind of just float away. And yes, we would love to offer every option for every customer, of course, but this for us, I think, was a no-brainer. It's like you said, Snowflake does it, DataStax. So the list goes on and on. So yes.
I think that makes total sense. I think the way to think about it is, look, there are legitimate reasons to actually run on-prem. And us as a company, we like to offer on-prem when there is a good reason for it. And we know the customer has the resources to maintain it. But we've definitely have inquiries from people that say, well, the main reason why we're releasing this is because we've had people say, I want the security and the compliance of on-prem. I'm not sure that we can maintain something that is that delivers the quality of service that a cloud product would, because they own the compute. And it's not that they're demanding, it's that I get it. These are pretty sensitive industries. We work with insurance, we work with benefits, healthcare, finance. This is sensitive data. I get it.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Gary, because like right before you joined, we had a couple of conversations with prospects who were essentially saying, look, we need to issue company-wide moratoriums on cloud LLMs because they're both very, very useful, but they're just a leak path for a ton of proprietary information. And employees just need tooling. Like if they see a tool that actually works really well, moratoriums rarely work, but ultimately I understand it from the company perspective. I mean, truth to be told, I think that someone was equating this the other day with the fact that like, hey, OpenAI just released a few healthcare features. They've been widely publicized. I was watching the Verge podcast where they were saying, well, while they make certain guarantees as to zero data retention, it's still not, it's concerning, right? And I think that we are seeing more and more customers kind of be very, very careful about, well, does the data actually traverse the public internet? And I feel like this is our answer to sort of meet them in the middle and say, well, there is an opportunity, which is, hey, private link is something that has been done before. All the major cloud providers support it. Why not kind of get the best of both worlds? And also, we may not want you. I still remember when I started in SaaS, that a lot of our competitors were still very on-prem, like hard on-prem, like literally running off of a floppy in the corner of a warehouse. And they're like, yeah, we get a CD-ROM every quarter. And, I remember this customer of ours was saying, we're like 3 CD-ROMs behind. And shivers went down my spine thinking, oh my God, the fact that they're like thinking about this in CD-ROMs is like terrifying. They just have a stack of uninstalled patches. Unfortunately, it's not too different, right? Like in order for us, we just shipped video last week, video support. A lot of our customers were saying, oh, I have a lot of use cases for video. On-prem would require us to maintain a certain infrastructure to update your local copy of BEM that I feel would actually be counterproductive to their security, because you kind of have to get your fingers in there, basically.
Exactly. No, and I think we've talked about it too. Just like you mentioned, if there are 2, 3 versions behind, and we're releasing for us to production weekly, multiple times in a week, if you do that quarterly, you're going to be behind. But yeah, and we see it. Customers have set up, for other SaaS services, they whitelist IPs or do whatever they can to kind of secure it. Like you mentioned, keep things within the network, and additional things we'll want to do down the road too to improve this. But this just, I think, it's a good step. It's like you mentioned, it's well known. It's been used by many different kind of vendors out there, and we feel it'll be a good win for our customers for sure.
That's awesome. Just so that the team is aware, two topics I would love to cover. One is cross-region connection. So it seems like we are able to cross-region across private link. Just to clarify to people watching.
Correct. So Amazon released this, I think maybe it's 2026 now. So it's maybe been almost 3 years now, but they released, cross region. So for us, our primary region is in US East 1. We can enable, when we create a private link, we can enable that to be in multiple regions. So if you're in, say, Ohio, you can connect, or and you're in the East or the West Coast, there's that. And then, as we move to other clouds, both Google, Azure support, like global private link is what they call. But that gives you that ability so that, if there's an issue in a certain region, or, if you think about how many regions Amazon has, for us, the infrastructure to run in every single region is prohibitive, but to allow multi-region, that's great. And so we'll be doing that too as part of our service. That if you're in Ohio, say, as we first roll this out, you can still hit us in US East 1.
That makes total sense. And if I'm not mistaken, for people watching this, we are rolling this out first to AWS and then to other clouds?
Correct. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Gary. I didn't want to miss out. You know me. I didn't want to miss the chance to do a little demo for the audience now that we're talking about regulated industries. And so I would love to just run a demo that we've seen quite often on benefits and insurance companies. How does that sound?
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So just for everyone in the audience, building a new workflow in BEM takes exactly 5 minutes. And when I say 5 minutes, it's actually 5 minutes. I'm going to go into app.bem.ai. For context, if you go to app.bem.ai, or you just go to our main website and click sign up, you can sign up for free and just try it. We want people trying the product. We are not hoarding it. We actually, most of our customers just signed up and tried the product first. We want them to actually test and give us feedback. It's on us we don't want to gatekeep the product and kind of pretend any kind of benchmarks. We want you to try it. When you create an account, you'll be shot into this screen. You get to create your first workflow. If you want to play around, you can. If you want to move very fast, you just drag and drop your most tedious file, and we'll build a workflow for you automatically. So I'm going to drag and drop a benefits package for, if I'm not mistaken, Arizona State employees that I found, and we'll see how it behaves. So I drag and drop the file. The first thing BEM does is infer the schema of that file. Chances are you're already very opinionated about the data schema that you want to use internally. This is just a very quick way of getting started and just moving very, very quickly. So I'm going to call this function benefits package Arizona State. And same thing, I'm going to name the workflow in a sec. I'm just going to give it a second and wait for it to generate the schema. But we can see this live. You have 2 ways of building a schema. By typing out JSON schema, if you feel really confident, I don't. I'm terrible at writing JSON schema. Or you can use it, you can do field by field basis. And so I'll show you the visual editor in a second, but right now BEM is trying to make an understanding of what do you expect out of a document like this one. So we now finally have the list of fields, things like effective date, pay ranges, medical, dental, life insurance, high deductible plans, like everything, basically everything. I'm going to save this, and we're just going to run it. And so I'm going to drag and drop the benefits package that I just mentioned. It's literally and I'll show you the preview in a second. I'm going to drag and drop it. And I'm actually going to drag and drop a few more benefits packages that I've just found online. And we're going to run it and see. The first thing BEM does is pre-process all of the inputs. We have a few layers of vision before the final large language model layer that destructure the document and understand, are there tables, are there no tables? We just want to squeeze every drop of value. This is not vibes, right? We enable critical processes, so we can't fail on any single document. So you'll see that there is pre-processing first, and then there is the linear transform step. Now, Gary, going back to the initial point, you can run this via, this is just the UI. The way we want you to run this in production is via the API. I'm assuming that if people deploy BEM through a private link, they would just hit the internal endpoint that we've created for them. That is basically the one for private link, right?
Correct. Yeah, we can show them the process, and they can actually set up DNS within their VPC, and it would still be like hitting api.bem.ai for that service, right? So their internal services or applications, yeah, it would seem like they're going out, but yeah, they'd just hit us directly.
Perfect. And you don't need to whitelist any IPs at that point.
Correct. Yeah, it's just going straight through. It's staying within Amazon, securely connected into us.
That's awesome. Last but not least, let me show you Enrich. We released Enrich, I think it was November last year. It's getting better and better. Enrich is the perfect way of taking these values and almost discretizing the outputs in a way that they're homogenized, they're clean, they're deduped, and they're matched with your database, with your source of truth. Before this call, I created a collection called insurance plans. And so the first thing you do in an Enrich is just give it a name. I'm going to call this insurance plans. And I'm just going to add test because I think I have a few functions with that name. And I tell BEM, please search through my insurance plans and use as the source field, I'm going to use the medical plans object. And I want you to inject in every object that on that array, a enriched from DB field that will contain an example of the actual match. We have three types of search: semantic, exact, and hybrid. Exact is just text similarity, anthem to anthem, or ranthem to anthem. Semantic is great for descriptions, for actual semantic matching. Hybrid is for what you just don't know you're going to get, and it is a weighted average. I'm going to use hybrid, and I'm going to ask for the top two results. What I like to tell people is this is the perfect way to automate a dropdown. That's how I think of it, honestly. If you have operators actually searching through dropdowns and trying to match the data with a database query that is insane, this is a really good way of just automating that away. So we're going to run it again, and you'll see the before and after, right? We were able to extract things like Anthem Blue Cross Traditional, HMO. Now you will see very quickly that we take that and then we inject very quickly what is the equivalent in your collection of data. I don't like using the word RAG because it's not technically RAG, but it is vector search, essentially. And we can do both vector searches as well as text similarity. So let's just give it a second, and I can show you, Gary, kind of the output. Let me see. And so insurance plans, medical plan. There you go. So you can see here how we now have matched, you see enriched from DB. So first we did the original transformation, and now we've done the enrichment. And so this is obviously synthetic data that I generated before the call, but essentially now you have, okay, medical plans, it's a core plan. Here's the matches. And I've matched it with medical plans of different types. It works even better if the originating output has specific names for plans. So for example, if you have Anthem, you'll see that in a second, we'll get the second step in the workflow. And then it matches with Anthem Blue Cross. So this is, I like to say again, this is a way to automate a dropdown. We think that one thing is extracting data out of document, and the other one is actually validating it and matching it against your source of truth. 100% of our customers already have a collection as a source of truth. Why reinvent the wheel? Why not just connect it directly? I don't know if I missed anything, Gary.
No, this makes sense. I always love the demos. They give me great ideas. I need to get better at using the product personally, because I'm already thinking of ways I could use this personally. So
honestly, you know what's funny? We've had people tell us like, "Hey, there's a bunch of like like BEM to Airtable kind of scenarios for people to individually build workflows for their daily lives. Everything from shopping lists. I've demoed the Instacart shopping list example before. So we don't want to tease out anything yet, but we are working on really good both inbound and outbound connectors so that connecting the edges of BEM gets better and better. And then last but not least, the way that you run this workflow that I just created is a simple API call. And it's that simple, right? If you are on Private Link, it would just go directly through that URL that we would give you. But honestly, we just want to make it really simple. Think of it as an RPC call that gives you automation back.
Yeah. No, this is great. Thanks for sharing it.
Of course, of course. And, you know, I mean, I love doing demos. And oops, I removed you from the stage for a second. There you go. And so thanks everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Gary, for the wisdom on infra. Super, super excited to start onboarding our customers to Private Link. If any of you listening have any questions whatsoever, we're here to help. And honestly, sign up, give us feedback. Honestly, we only become great if you give us honest feedback. So looking forward to that. Thanks, everyone. Bye, Gary.
Bye.